Have you ever wanted to speak on stages, whether in person or virtually? Well, today I'm going to talk to you about how I just booked my latest speaking gig. So maybe it'll give you and inspire you with ideas of how you can get your own speaking gigs, the ideal gigs, like to your perfect audience. So you're not just wasting your time doing free gigs, you're getting paid, you're doing them to your ideal customers, and you're enjoying it the entire time. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. And you're going to come along for the ride. We're going to start today. I'm going to share a little bit with you. I'm going to show you the process. You're going to come along as I script this, the talk, as I get it all together. And then in future videos, you're even going to follow along on the day of and see what it's like for in the day in the life of a professional speaker. So follow along. I'll see you after the intro. Yeah, roll it. The question everyone wants answered is, how did I book this gig? So I'll tell you a bit about them first. This is a large international organization, and they're bringing all of their salespeople together, their top salespeople together for a conference to help motivate them and give them the tools that they need in order to get as much success as possible. And I'm one of those speakers. And I've been invited specifically to deal with one very big obstacle that they're facing. And we're going to talk about content. I'll definitely, as I mentioned, bring you along for the ride as I create the talk, and we'll talk more about that later on in this video. But the point I need you to understand at this point in the video is that I have been invited specifically. I didn't go out and look for this gig, which is the coolest part of this whole story. So how did I get invited? That's the question. Basically, I put out regular content. Consistency is what got me this gig because I'm consistently sharing the same message. That content is what you need to be doing. You need to be getting loud about your products and your services, and most importantly, the solutions that they provide for your people. And because I walk the walk and I'm actively creating this type of content, well, I caught someone's eye. One DM led to a conversation, led to a contract, and here we are. So my advice to you guys is to be loud about your message. Make sure that everyone knows that you talk about XYZ, whatever it is that you talk about, whatever it is that you are super passionate about. Because no one's going to hire you to share your message if they have no idea what your message is. So make sure that you are being loud about it. We've talked many times on this channel about getting annoyed with your own message, thinking that you're being overly repetitive, talking about the exact same thing over and over and over again, and you kind of start to believe that your audience is also annoyed with your message, when in reality, they probably haven't even heard it yet. With the amount of messaging that they're getting on all of our social platforms, the amount of commercials and billboards and messages that are flying at them on a daily basis, I promise you, your people are not annoyed by your message. And if they are, then you're doing it right, because you're pre-qualifying. You're getting people who are in alignment with your message, who are looking for your solution. It brings them closer, and the people who don't care, or the people who are not the right fit, well, it pushes them away. It's actually a good thing. So I want you to be excited about your message, and I want you to be consistent about sharing that message. And that's what's going to grab people's attention. Being consistent is what leads to being prolific. And when you sit within that prolific range, then people are going to say, yo, I seen you everywhere. I need your expertise. I know that you can continuously talk about this topic because you are an expert. It immediately, well, consistency takes time, but with that consistency comes that natural authority, which is fantastic. So go out, be loud about your message, and be consistent about it. Brings us to our question of the day. I'm curious. I want to know, what kind of speaking gigs are you looking for? I read, or I'm in the middle of this really fantastic book that I'm going to start creating more shorts about so you can get that knowledge in little tidbits along the way, no excuses style. So I'm going to share more about that in a future video. But I want to know from you guys, first off, what are your ideal speaking gigs? But I also want to know, what resources have you been tapping into on your journey to become that professional speaker? I want to know about the books. I want to know about the speakers who have inspired you. What events have you been to that have inspired you? All of that stuff. Let's have that conversation down below, because I have ideas and resources that I want to share with you guys, but I'm not sharing them until you guys go first. It's a you show me yours, I'll show you mine kind of situation. All right, I gotta go get some work done, but I'm gonna bring you guys back in a little bit when I'm sitting down to actually plan out my talk. I wanna bring you guys along for the ride so you can see what it's like behind the scenes. So yeah, insert interesting transition. Let's pour a cup of tea and have a conversation about writing your presentation. Any presentation, whether it's a sales presentation, a persuasive presentation, or a report in front of your class, every presentation is pretty much 3 different parts. The first part is the one big thing you need your people to know or believe or understand. See, a mind that has too many choices will get confused and will kind of tune out. So if you want people to pay attention to your presentation, well, you have to make sure that you are only making them focus on one thing. So in the case of the presentation I'm giving later today, the one big thing I need them to know, believe, or understand is that you're not selling products. You're selling solutions. And I know this because I've done my research. When you understand who your audience is, you can create a presentation that speaks directly to them. Because remember, visibility hacking, we are big into thinking like we're mind readers, but it's all because we understand who our customer is, we understand who our audience is, and therefore we understand the obstacles and the pain points that they're dealing with and the dreams that they have as well. So we have our one big thing written down. We know what the main part of our presentation is going to be about. Next step is not to go to the second part of the 3-part system. Instead, we're going to go all the way to the end, and we're going to acknowledge what it is we want them to do at the end of our presentation. This way, we know who they are coming into the presentation, what we need to make them believe, and then what we want to lead them to. Because once we figure that out, what our call to action is going to be, then we can fill in the middle a lot easier. So in my case, our call to action at the end is going to be a free book where I give them more tips and strategies based around what we talk about in the presentation. This is done specifically because the presentation is going to have a lot more story behind it. And when they want the action steps, well, they can download the book and they can take action because the story is what builds that connection. So now let's talk about what that middle part of the framework is. We know what they're coming in like. We know where we want them to be at the end. Now that middle section, we need to break it down into easy to digest points. Sequentially, what do they need to know, do, believe as they go through the presentation so that ultimately it's a no-brainer to take that call to action at the end. Whether that call to action is a $10,000 product or it's a free downloadable ebook. Either way, we want to make sure that we have led them, we have created that yellow brick road to make that decision effortless. So in my case, what are we talking about tonight? We are talking about the one big domino is that you're not selling a product, you are selling a lifestyle, you're selling a dream, you're selling a solution. This way, we're helping our audience move from I'm just selling you this product, look at this product. Instead, they're starting to look at utilizing that product in their life and capturing content based around that. Well, when we give them that idea, one of the first objections is that Creating content is hard. So that's going to be one of the points that we address. And as we go through the process of creating the entire presentation, that's what we have in mind. So give me a couple minutes, let me write my presentation, and we'll come back and I'll show you what the slide deck looks like, because we're going to talk about visual authority and how we can really grab attention, authority, and influence right off the bat. All right, so we've written our presentation, we've put our slide deck together, we've put our ebook together that coordinates with this whole thing. And now let's talk about why I put so much effort into creating a cohesive brand. Well, the reason is when you have a solid brand, that becomes your influence lever. So in this presentation, I might not have met most of these people in the audience before, but I can almost instantly grab their attention and build authority in their minds by having cohesive branding, a professional look, an aesthetic that catches their eye and makes them go, wow, that's different. I'm not used to seeing things like that. And it's because of how we tell stories. Well, that's a story for another day, but I want you to see that when you're telling the story of your brand, you can do that in the way that your presentation shows up. So clearly I don't have enough time to run through this entire slide deck with you, but check out this slide, which I think is pretty cool already. This is the general feel and aesthetic that we're going for. Of course, I'm going to be all dolled up, but this is what people are going to see when the presentation begins, and we'll have some interactive elements on the screen as well. So I'm super excited. I can't wait for you to see more, but don't worry. I have not forgotten about you. If you've gotten this far in the video, you're clearly interested in this process. So first off, my promise to you is I am going to give you at least one more video about this presentation so that you can see a little bit more behind the scenes of what I do after the talk is completed. As well, I'll bring you behind the scenes as we do the presentation itself, and I'll probably, knowing me, release the training that we're putting together over in our Facebook group. So head over, become an official visibility hacker. That's visibilityhacking.com. Click the link at the top, says become a visibility hacker. Join us over there. But for those of you who want the I'm not giving you the slide deck, but those of you who want the ebook for this presentation, definitely subscribe to the channel, because once the presentation goes live, I will make sure you guys get a copy of that ebook as well. So subscribe, be first to know when that video hits the floor. And in the meantime, check out this video about branding, because, well, branding is vitally important. Let me know if you have any questions down below. Until I see you again, remember, I love you. Be excellent to each other. Just go live. People are out there waiting.